Coming back, you'll see numbered posts along the way, matching the guide the Park Visitor Center sells to accompany this drive. You can follow along with that, but my commentary will highlight all of the most important features and a fair number of things not included in that guide. Of course, I want you to feel free to stop whenever a view grabs your attention, whether it's something I've mentioned or not. For now, I recommend we drive a few minutes to Grand Wash and make our first stop. It's important for us to please stick to the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. We've got a lot to take in on this drive. The rocks of Capitol Reef have a fascinating history to share. Look at the cliffs to our left. It's made of layers. At the bottom of this stack of rocks, you'll see deep, dusty red repeating layers of sandstone and shale. The sediments that form this rock were laid down about 240 million years ago, where rivers met the sea in tropical tidal flats. Paleontologists sometimes find the tracks and trails of early dinosaurs in this layer. The deep red comes from the hematite, or iron oxide. We call this layer the Moenkopi Formation. The layer between the Moenkopi Formation and the sheer vertical cliffs at the top of the stack is the Chinle Formation rocks. The Chinle forms lumpy slopes in a variety of reddish, grayish, and pastel-colored layers that are often partly covered by debris and huge blocks of sandstone that have fallen from the cliffs above. Over a period of roughly 50 million years, these sediments were laid down by energetic, braided rivers carrying sand, gravel, and logs mixed with mud and volcanic ash from distant eruptions. Under the right conditions, the logs become petrified, replaced bit by bit with silica from the volcanic ash. The 350-foot vertical cliffs above the Chinle are the massive and resistant Wingate sandstone. This sandstone was laid down by migrating desert dunes. When it's exposed, it often becomes stained with a thin coat of dark brown or black desert varnish. Now, normally these rock layers are not exposed. They'd be buried beneath us by younger sedimentary rocks. But what makes Capitol Reef special is that here, the layers have been deformed. About 70 million years ago, after the sedimentary layers were formed, a fault, still buried deeply below us, pushed the rocks up, bending and draping them over the fault. Geologists call this huge wrinkle in the Earth's crust a fold. Now, this particular fold is called the water pocket fold, and a more distant view shows us the layers are tilted. For geologists, that is the proof that layers that should be underground have been forced upwards. The water pocket fold extends almost 100 miles from Lake Powell to Thousand Lake Mountain. See after we turn is an old mine. Now I'm going to wait until we've turned to tell you what the mineral of interest was here. Miners were targeting the yellowish-gray Shinneramp layer, which is sometimes found at the base of the Chinle Formation. Because it is discontinuous, that suggests to us that it was deposited in the channels of rivers that meandered across a coastal plain that are composed of sand and gravel like those in many shallow riverbeds today. Because rivers meander instead of completely blanketing an area, after we cross the wash, we'll see small pullouts on both sides of the road. Let's just quickly stop there and let me explain. From there, we see the now closed-up entrance of the Euler mine, which was extracting, did you guess? Uranium. Uranium first began being mined in the early 1900s, and not for weapons or nuclear power. That technology hadn't been developed yet. Its main use was in folk medicines. But of course later, uranium became valuable for other uses, as you know. The small niche folk medicine market for uranium changed with the beginning of the Cold War in 1948. Then from 1949 to 1955, much uranium prospecting was done within the Water Pocket Fold, which had good theoretical geological promise, but no significant deposits outside of the Euler mine were found. Fighting over the mineral rights here meant that no uranium was actually mined from Euler for the purpose of nuclear weapons during that boom time. Did I just say boom time? Sorry about that. You can walk up to the gated entrance to the mine if you are interested. Notice how if you imagined a tunnel continuing from the entrance, it looks like it would line up to meet the base of the Chinle Formation layer. The miners definitely knew what they were aiming for. Okay, when you're ready, let's continue driving. As we entered the Grand Wash Spur Road, we had to look out to see the Windgate Sandstone. Because of the bending and tilting of the exposed sedimentary layers here, the Windgate will soon be at road level, and then we'll actually drive over the top of it. We're actually driving forward through geological time right now. There are three important layers we're driving into on this very short road. The Windgate Sandstone, then the layered Kayenta Formation, which I'll talk more about later in our drive today, and then finally, as we approach the end of the road, we'll be surrounded by Navajo Sandstone, which is notable because it weathers into lovely curved canyons. Navajo Sandstone also looks amazing from the top, forming the rounded domes that put the capital into. At the Windgate Sandstone as we drive through the canyon. In places where there isn't desert varnish, do you see the lines that sweep across the rock face? That's a clue for geologists. Geologists call this pattern cross-bedding, and it tells us that the sand was deposited in windswept and drifted dunes. Other important clues require closer magnified inspection. The rock sediments are entirely sand-sized, and they have a frosted look that only happens when airborne sand grains hit each other over and over again. It's worth a closer look if we have the opportunity. I'm sure we're also noticing a Swiss cheese look to the surface of the rock in some places. Sediment becomes rock when it's buried and compacted by overlying loads of other sediment. During compaction, individual grains are also cemented together by other minerals left behind by seeping groundwater, like hard water scale. Just as with scale, cement isn't deposited equally everywhere. When rock surfaces become exposed, the cement between the grains can be dissolved by weak acids in rainwater or groundwater. That can form shallow holes in the cliff face, and once a hole starts, it can trap more water, which means more and faster erosion of weakly cemented sand grains. The result is the Swiss cheese texture that geologists call honeycomb weathering or tuffoning. We should be about to see a small pullout and number 4 of the park's posts. From here, we can see the layered Kayenta Formation along the road up ahead, where it caps on top of the Windgate Sandstone. If you turn around and look where we came from and up, we see the Cassidy Arch and other potential new arches starting to form around us.
Oh, I see it. It's up there. Yeah, there's an arch up there.
To park when we get there, okay? There are two hiking trails that might interest you and leave from here. One is a bit more strenuous and the other one is easy. The strenuous trail heads up cliffs with a rapid elevation gain, about 550 feet over a half mile, with many switchbacks and rocky sections that aren't clearly marked. The payoff is an amazing bird's eye view of Cassidy Arch, named for turn-of-the-century outlaw Butch Cassidy, who is thought to have hidden occasionally in Grand Wash. If you hike the Cassidy Arch Trail, be sure to bring along plenty of water, and expect that hike to take at least 2 hours for the just over 3-mile round trip. Now, the easy hike heads forward into Grand Wash and the Navajo Sandstone. This trail is roughly 2¼ miles one way with only a 200 feet elevation change. If you do have time to hike only one trail in Capitol Reef, I recommend this one. The trail follows the dry wash into White Navajo Sandstone cliffs that tower up to 800 feet above your head. But the walls can be as close together as 15 feet. If we drove in from the east, you'd find we'd pop out back on Highway 24 if we went all the way to the end, which isn't necessary. If you're lucky, you might even see some desert bighorn sheep. Now, if we don't feel like hiking, it's just as magnificent to soak in the view of this amazing display of cliffs, layering, desert varnish, and taphony. There are some basic washroom facilities here if we do need to. When we're ready, let's make our way back down to the main scenic drive. I
The wash looks quite a bit easier to walk than the trail. I'm just gonna go right up here and turn around. Nice little shady spot.
You'd see their flags.
Yeah.
I don't think they really. But
Maybe somebody brought that down as a joke. No, but that makes sense. You don't want any people up there.
The P with the line through it means no peeing.
What's that?
The P with the line through it means no peeing.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Is that as far as you're gonna go?
Yeah, I got a lot to cover today. Plus my wife can't. She's got a bad knee, so she's sitting back there waiting. I just wanted to walk enough to get the gist.
Did you make it to the Narrows?
Although, no, how far is that, you
I
know?
don't know. We've never been here either.
My little guide on my phone was talking right before we got here. It said you could follow this for 22 miles all the way to 89 if you wanted.
Really?
That's what it said.
That's nuts. But I know you can get to 24 on this one.
Or it might have been 1 minute, 24. It said you could walk for 22 miles
It's a long
to get to the
way.
highway at the other end.
Yeah, that's a long way. It's 24. And there's a lot of cutoffs and side canyons, I think, on the way.
I was in a pretty narrow. I went down past Kodachrome Basin yesterday, and there's that road that goes all the way.
The Bryce Canyon, is it?
You go past Kodachrome Canyon, and there's two spots there, the Narrows, North Narrows and South Narrows.
Do they have water in them?
No, it didn't have no water in it. And it was about this tall, and it got pretty narrow. And that was, and when you can take that road you go in at Kodachrome Basin, and you can take that road all the way down and hit the highway, and then go into Moki.
Oh, really?
And so that's what we did. And you go past the old Pariah movie set.
Oh, did you go out down the Moki Dugway?
No.
No, not this.
No, Moki Douglas down by Bluff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a different place.
But we went to the Moki Cave. I took her to the Moki Cave. It's a
You know,
music.
on the road to Kanab, the highway to Kanab.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
80,
yeah,
That's
yeah.
89. You're on there.
Yeah.
How's that? I've never been there. We've been by there 100 million
What, the
times.
Moki Cave?
Yeah. Is it worth seeing?
Yeah, it was all right. $7. And the cool part was the bar. Well, it's all a museum now, but he built the thing back in the 50s for movie stars that were filming in the area, and he put a bar in there, and he's got all the pictures of the movie stars, John Wayne, and
At the bar.
there was a bunch of them that came in there, and he's got a really nice Western wooden-looking bar. It's old, and it's all still there, but they put the museum kind of around the back wall, and the bar is all down this wall the way it originally was.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the other part of the cave was the dance hall, but that's also now a museum. It's all museum now, but the bar side was really.
Is the bar operating? Is it an
No,
operating
no,
bar?
they're-
It's
no, they're not
just a-
serving.
Just a museum.
Yes, just a museum.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, I said we've been by there a few times, but never stopped. Because we thought it was just what you said, just a museum kind of thing. But I didn't realize that movie stars hung out there, though. Might be worth seeing just to see that.
Yeah, it's got all the pictures of the movie stars that were in there, and then the other side that was a dance hall, they got that one darkened with black lights, and they got all these rocks in there that glow in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
And then part of it, they've done some Indian art on the wall that glows in the dark.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Pretty here, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna go and we're gonna drive the part of the part of Capitol Reef that goes all the way down, and I'm gonna drag the dirt road over to.
Bullfrog?
Yeah.
Bullfrog?
Yeah, that's where we're going.
The Notem, you're going down the
Notem
Notem Road?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty out there.
Have you been down there? Okay, we haven't done that
We
before.
used to go out there a lot when there was nobody out in this country and it was just a dirt road. You could go out there and just camp and be in the desert. And,
You can cut off. You won't do it, but you can cut off what they call the Burr Trail. You probably
yeah,
see it
the
on your
Burr
map.
Trail.
That it's a switchback road that pulls out of that canyon and goes to Boulder.
That's
the
where I
town
want to
of
go.
Boulder.
That's where I want to
You
go.
want to go that way?
That's the way I
Go up
want to
Burr
go.
Trail. Okay. So you're not going to go to Bullfrog. You're going to go up the Burr Trail and then go to Boulder that way.
Well, we're gonna take the Bullfrog down to the Burr Trail, then I guess you take the. I have my map. You do a bunch of switchbacks, then you go across the.
That's the Burr Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Burr Trail.
that's pretty.
Guy used to, back in the day, that's where he used to take his rustled cattle down there. Burr Trail.
So we're only doing like half of the Bullfrog, and I might go past that switchback and come back. I guess there's a couple of viewpoints just past the switchbacks. I may go see them and then come back, but
Now it's a paved road, but it used to be.
It's not.
Oh, is it?
paved, no.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Notem Road.
my map was showing once you get past the switchbacks, it goes to paved.
Yeah, when you get up on top, it's paved.
Yeah.
The switchbacks aren't paved, and when you go past the little town of Notem, it's paved to there, and then it's dirt past there.
Not
It's
a bad
dirt.
road.
And if you wanted to stay on it, you could go all the way to Lake Powell if you wanted to stay on it. But it's like 50 miles.
Hello there.
It's like 50 miles to Lake Powell.
See, what's cool is we're traveling around out here in a 50-year-old Airstream.
Motorhome Airstream.
No, it's
That's a
one you
trailer.
pull. It's actually an Argosy. The early
And
painted.
you go up, I can't remember the name of it, but we stopped there a few times and had pie.
So we'll be eating pie everywhere. I done bought a peach pie down there.
Yeah.
Cause she told me the pies would be gone when I came back through. so
you had one.
I bought. Well, I didn't eat it yet. We got it, but
Have a safe trip.
all right. That was long enough rest. I can probably make it back now. There's the Castle of the Arch Trail. 1.5 miles. Elevation here is at 5,400. When you get up, when you're looking down on the arch, you're at, oh, my eyes aren't good enough. 6,350, it looks like. So you gain about 1,000 feet. Carry water. Yeah, I would if I was taking that high. You're going way up here. Look at the moon. Got the moon and the sun in the canyon. Sun and the moon over there, and the sun over there. Sit. There you go.
How's it going?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm good now. Somebody's up there hiking. I noticed the trail go that way, but I walked that earlier. The wash is actually easier. Okay, so there's 2 miles. I was not going to walk that far.
When I mentioned Butch Cassidy hiding out in the canyons here. The rugged and remote canyon country of southern Utah was even more remote in the late 1800s. At this time, Utah was being developed by ranchers, miners, timbermen, and homesteaders. But it was also the home of some of the most infamous outlaws of the American West. Butch Cassidy is the best known of Utah's outlaws. And with the help of his partner, Sundance Kid, and the Wild Bunch, he was also among the most successful of Western outlaws. From 1870 to 1900, as the railroads connected the coast and homesteaders flocked west, big business dominated politics. Wealthy became wealthier, while the average Joes lived hand to mouth with little opportunity to get ahead. In this environment, many of the law-abiding common folk citizens took secret satisfaction in the fact that outlaws caused trouble for the rich. Outlaws were often known for their generosity and kindness towards the common people, which was often repaid. In fact, on many occasions, the ability of outlaws to evade capture depended in large part on the locals, who often provided them with food, supplies, and fresh horses. And those locals were known to purposely confound lawmen with misinformation. The isolated and intricate mazes of Utah's canyons, here and in other places in the state, often provided perfect cover for outlaws on them. The water pocket fold has been shaped by the forces of erosion since its creation. Erosion has weathered the landforms into their current shapes and created the canyon we've been driving through. Without that erosion, we wouldn't be able to work out the geology here nearly as easily. Erosion takes a long time, many millions of years. It can be difficult for us to picture this landscape not looking like this. It just feels like it must have always been this way, right? Though the forces of erosion move in small increments, it is incredibly powerful. Here we think of erosion including both the chemical and physical weathering that breaks rocks apart, and also the movement of those weathered chunks of rock away from their initial locations. Chemical weathering can dissolve the cement that binds sedimentary rocks together. Even only very mildly acidic water can slowly dissolve minerals within rocks, and it can even dissolve certain types of rocks altogether, such as when caves form. When we talk about physical weathering, that's what geologists call it when rocks break up into smaller pieces. Did I hear somebody ask for some examples? Well, water expands when it freezes. Water finds its way into small cracks in the rocks, and that expansion can be strong enough to widen the crack and sometimes break the rock completely. What are some other things that could widen those cracks? Plant roots, when they grow thicker, or even the hot summer sun bakes rocks and causes them to expand, especially if they've already been weakened. After rocks break apart, gravity is usually the first thing to move them away from their original location. Small rock particles can be blown by the wind, or running water can move large rocks. Think of how powerful a flash flood can be. Often both chemical and physical weathering act together to create landscapes. Notice all the large blocks of Wingate sandstone at the base of the cliff faces here? These sandstone blocks topple and fall to the bottom because of gravity, a physical process. But that only happens because material is removed beneath them, making the cliffs unstable.
Yeah, I want to see this. They got the uranium mines over there, but I see there's a stone cabin. I've been here before. I've seen the mines, but I didn't see the cabin. small miner's cabin.
We're actually coming up to the end of the scenic drive, but not the end of the driving tour. We'll see a sign ahead that points to the left for Capitol Gorge and to the right for Pleasant Creek. Also, when we reach that sign, if we can, slow right down, or even quickly stop if we're not in anyone else's way. Have a look at the beautiful rippled Moenkopi slab used as the backing for the sign. Those ripples weren't carved by stonemasons. I'd go so far as to say, if we stop at the parking area, just even walk back to the sign and examine it up close. Here's what we should do now. We should now follow the drive to Capitol Gorge. So keep to the left when we reach the junction. It'll feel like we're just simply continuing straight ahead. I'll talk about the Pleasant Creek option when we turn around and drive back from the gorge. After the sign, we'll see a larger parking area with some shaded picnic tables. And after that, the road pavement will end. The road is well maintained and it is suitable for regular vehicles. But there are trailer and vehicle size restrictions. It's best to stop there and read the signage if we're driving a bigger RV or need to leave a trailer behind before we continue. As always in these parts, be cautious if the weather looks like it could deliver rain and create flash flood conditions. Even from the approach, you'll see that the gorge looks incredible, and I highly encourage us to take the Capitol Gorge Spur Road.
That sign he was talking about. But they didn't carve that. That was...
I want a piece of that. It's pretty neat.